And welcome into Fantasy Baseball Camp episode 8. Today at the camp, we've got myself, Michael, Tommy, and Wes, and we are going to get into some trading strategy for fantasy baseball. I think we're getting a little of advice of what buy low, sell high is, and then we'll get into some actual buy low candidates that we believe you might be able to get who will start to take off as we get into the further months of the season. So let's jump right into it. Trading strategy for who, Wes? What are we talking here when we're talking trading strategy?
Yeah, trading strategies. It's for the teams who might be mid-tier, might be low tier. You might have lost a player. In Tommy's case, it might be a Robbie Ray, right? So trading
Ouch.
strategy is, low blow there, Tommy. Sorry, man.
It
But
happens.
trading strategy is like, hey, like I want to make my team better, or I have a need and I need to address it. And like, what do I do to kind of go find that player and create a trade, right? So for me, the first thing I typically do is identify what my team needs, right? So in that case for Tommy, he did lose Robbie Ray. He might need a pitcher, and so that's a real case. So I have a lot of pitchers. I'm gonna go look at. I'm gonna find a team, and I'm gonna look at what they need. So what I need is pitching. I'm gonna go find a team where, hey, they need a third baseman. I might have two third basemen, right? And then I'm gonna try and figure out the best way to create equal value for both teams. So in this example, I would say, hey, Tommy lost Robbie Ray. I have excess of pitching, so I might text Tommy and say, hey, you lost Robbie Ray. Like, let's talk about a trade. How can we work something out?
So
Right?
that's you as someone who didn't lose Robbie Ray, noticing Tommy who lost him and saying, "Hey, I know you need somebody," and you're the one going out and looking and being proactive about it rather than just sitting back.
A lot of times, yeah. And it has to do with the fact that I have an excess of pitching, right? And because of my excess of pitching, I'm willing to talk about trading someone, knowing that for me, it's like leveraging the need that I know Tommy needs pitching. Right. And that's where you can really try and get some value back in a trade.
Yeah, I think another real world example of that right now is I've got 6 outfielders. Well, technically one's a DH because Harper's in the IL. 4 of those 6 are
You had
top.
to mention Harper.
Yeah,
You
had
had to mention
Well,
Harper.
I'm getting to my point. 4 of those 6 are top 10, 15 scoring outfielders right now. And so that's hard to come by. That's not including James Outman, who's a rookie, and Juan Soto, who's been horrible. But I've just got so much outfield. I don't have position for all of them, but I know other guys do. There's another guy in our league who's pretty bad at outfield. His outfielder just got optioned down. He's got a surplus of pitching. That's what I went for. I need pitching. Robbie just went out. I have outfielders. He needs outfielders. You just got to find that thing that works. You can't just say, hey, I know you have Jose Ramirez, but I have Manny Machado. Let's give you also Manny Machado and give me something, because they don't want Manny Machado. They have Jose Ramirez.
It doesn't fit their team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't just blindly go offer to people. You have to know they have a need. You have a surplus. They have a surplus of what you need. You have a need.
You got to look at their team and see how would this trade look after? What would their roster look like after this trade? What does it make sense for them? Does it hurt their hitting? Do their team look worse?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't do that. They just say, I want player X, I'm going to give you player. Like trading an outfielder for an outfielder, like Tommy just said, third base for third base, makes no sense. Unless someone just absolutely hates their third baseman and loves another, and same for the opposite.
That's a great point, Burns, is, trading a Manny Machado for a Jose Ramirez, like how much better does that make either team, right?
The only way you could make that make sense is if you were selling for the year and Manny Machado had 3-4 years left on his contract, and J-Ram, you were done for the year and you're trying to already get ready for a future. You're selling, That's the only way I could see that make sense.
Yeah. Something you guys just reminded me of also to consider when you are maybe the recipient of a piece. So we'll stick with a third baseman because I had those guys pulled up. Say you've got Nolan Arenado on your team, and you want a replacement for him, but you don't know what you can get. You need a third baseman, and say someone's going to offer you Rafael Devers. Well, you don't have a utility spot open. You've got 2 third basemen. You have to give something up. Say you have to give up a starting pitcher for it. And now you've got Rafael Devers instead of Nolan Arenado. But really, what did you upgrade? I think Nolan Arenado is going to bounce back, and even take it out of the context of not being this year. You didn't get that much better. You got better, but you may have got a couple points better. And so giving up a top starting pitcher, maybe you had to give up, Christian Javier or Framber Valdez to go get Rafael Devers. You lost more than you got back because you can't start both Arenado and Devers at the same time. So if you've got Jordan Walker, go get Devers. But don't just upgrade for the sake of upgrading because you want the top guy. It's got to make sense for your roster to make it upgrade because you have to give something away.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt your team.
I would agree.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt your team just to get another good name. You got to look at at the end. If you just didn't look at names, you want guys who are going to give you 15 to 20 points, and that's all that matters. You don't want if you're going to trade away a guy who's going to get you 25 points, is that 5 points going to make a sense when you could actually have two 20-point players on a weekly basis or 125? You want that 220 guys.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you guys this question because I know my preference and the way that I would handle it in a trade, but I'm gonna give you a situation, right? So let's say you have two. In my case, currently I have 2 shortstops on my roster, right? Let's say I needed pitching, and I have the top shortstop and the 5th shortstop in the league, right? Which player would you try and shop to try and get pitching back?
I actually thought about the same scenario, and I was going to ask you guys that same question. So that means it's an excellent question, Wes. Good job.
Great minds think alike, Tommy.
Yeah.
Shitheads.
We didn't talk about this beforehand.
I think that's a really hard one to answer just blindly, because it's case by case, but I think it depends what you need. And let me just describe the situation of what I mean right now. I've lost Jeffrey Springs and I've lost Robbie Ray. My pitching's horrible. I need a top pitcher to get back. I've got Bryce Harper, Hunter Renfroe, Brandon Nimmo, Soto, Tucker. I've got all those guys. I think in this case I could give away Brandon Nimmo or a Rafael or a Hunter Renfroe and get a.
Did you say giveaway?
Trade.
I'll take a giveaway.
Okay.
Trade.
Yeah.
And get a decent starting pitcher, or I could trade Soto, Tucker, Harper. I've got a surplus Harper for utility and get a really good starting pitcher back. And in my case, I need the better starting pitcher. If you've just got a surplus and you just want to upgrade somewhere, I would say get rid of the lower tier guy. If you've got a hurting position, like your shortstop's horrible and you've got 10 first basemen, get rid of the top guy, bring your next one up, and really make that upgrade. There's plenty of cases where you just have a surplus and maybe I can package 2 for 1 and get a better upgrade. Don't get rid of your good guy. But if you need the help and you've got a good backup, I would say get rid of your good guy. Do you agree, Michael?
Yeah, I would look at quality over quantity. Last year I had 5 stud starting pitchers. I didn't move starting pitchers in and out of my lineup at all. I had those 5. I didn't care the matchups they had. They were so good. I was starting them no matter what. And my hitting was atrocious last year, but my pitching carried me into the playoffs. Didn't win anything, but at least made me to the playoffs. So you don't want to trade your top guys for 2 middle tier guys. It's like we were just talking about. You don't want to trade a 25, 30-point player for 2 20-point players necessarily. I know it sounds contradictory of what I just said a second ago, but when we're talking about elite players, first, second round type players, you don't trade down from that. You want to try to stay, what's the word I'm looking for, on the same level.
Yeah, you want to create equal value.
Right. When you're talking about elite players, you don't let elite go. Middle tier.
It's tough to trade a Jacob deGrom, a healthy Jacob deGrom, right? Where Garrett Cole is probably a better example, right?
When do you ever trade a healthy deGrom? That doesn't exist.
So
that's probably a fair point.
I actually recently did trade Jacob deGrom. I had a surplus of pitching and I traded Jacob deGrom and Carlos Rodon for Clayton Kershaw and Fernando Tatis. I needed outfield. I had pitching. I don't know. What do you guys think? Was that a good trade?
Was that with me?
That's it.
No. It's just a different league.
Oh, different league. Okay. So say that trade scenario again.
Mike
Oh, wait,
said,
I had both those players last
did,
year.
Did I do that?
I had a ton of pitching depth. I lost Robbie Ray, so that's another.
I'm cutting myself off over here, Tom.
Yeah. I had a bunch of pitching depth. I needed an outfielder, and in Yahoo, Tatis was already outfit eligible. I traded away Fernando Tatis and
an outfielder.
Carlos. No, sorry. Redo this. I traded
DeGrom
away
and
Jacob deGrom and Carlos Rodon, and I still had plenty of pitching. I received Fernando Tatis, and I got Kershaw back, so I didn't hurt my pitching.
Oh, we talked about that. No, I think that's a win to get Tatis is a
first
round player.
That.
Do you think it's a win, or do you think it was a fair trade?
I think it was a fair trade. I don't think you're winning.
I think it's a fair trade.
I agree.
Kershaw, you never know when his back's going to act up. Rodon, you don't know when he's going to go down. Could go down again. And DeGrom, the same thing.
It's only a matter of time before he goes on the IL, right?
You got the best player in the trade in Tatis.
Yeah.
I think that's what wins you the trade is you got the best player. He got probably the best overall value because he got two elite pitchers who are. Would you say they're both DeGrom and Rodon are both better than Kershaw? Or is Rodon and Kershaw a wash?
So in my mind, they're kind of a wash. They're close. Depends who you ask. And I think something a listener might say is, well, why did you swap a pitcher for a pitcher as that second part?
Yeah.
Tatis and DeGrom were kind of obvious. One needs a pitcher, one needs an outfielder.
Why didn't you just do DeGrom for Tatis?
Yeah, so and that comes down to personal preference. I valued Kershaw more than I did Rodon, so I saw that as a sure no-brainer. And the guy I traded wanted Rodon. He's a Yankees fan. I think it's probably biased part of it. He valued him more than Kershaw, so we both agreed. Yeah, that's a swap we're both willing to make. I'll take the risk for Kershaw. You'll take the risk for Rodon. We both get the major pieces that we really wanted. That's kind of what made that deal happen.
Yeah.
Bias is a good point. And if you're looking to trade, human bias is a very funny thing, right? Like, because, Tommy, I'm going to throw you under the bus here for a second. We've been talking about bio since before draft, right? Like, we keep going back and forth on that. We both love him as a pitcher, and we both love his stuff. We both think he can be really, really good. But we haven't been able to work anything out. But like, you're a Red Sox fan, and that name keeps coming up in trade conversations, right? And I think bias, I mean, it does. It comes up, right? Like, I think bias is a real thing in trades where mentally you might be more willing to accept something for a player on the team that you follow.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think, right or wrong morally, knowing who you're trading with and being able to manipulate that is a strategy you should play with. Hey, you're a Cubs fan? Cody Bellinger's playing awesome. You should take Cody Bellinger. You give me someone back. Well, Cody Bellinger, a sell high.
Tommy's strategy though is, you're shitty at trading? Let me. you don't know what you're talking about? Let me tell you what I got for you.
Give me this guy. He's gonna be great. Don't worry. You're gonna be fine.
If they want to make the trade, I'm all ears.
Let me show you a secret. If you bend over and touch your toes, your fantasy team will be much better.
I thought this was a family-friendly show.
All right, so we really haven't even gotten into some buy low and sell high candidates, right?
True. For the record, I will point out, Tommy has made we found out the second most trades in the league in the last 3 years, Tommy.
Yeah.
Behind Coach Haver, who was the most. I think
fair
I had
trades.
15. Fair trades, yeah. They're all fair trades. They're all fair trades, Mike. All of them. They're all fair.
Most of them.
Look at that. You just got caught in 4K.
That's fine. I think I'm a fair trader. I look at it a lot. I find situations at work. Sometimes
Tommy's a good negotiator.
Negotiator or convincer?
Is there a difference?
Yes.
I think
When you're
I think
convincing
that
the
is part of
criminal to come down,
negotiation, right?
when there's a bad
He's
guy on
going
the
to
ledge.
convince you to take the trade by texting you every 2 hours.
No.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, man.
It's every
Just
3
think.
hours.
This
Get it
guy's
right.
pretty good. 3
Look,
hours.
I will 100% take that over. I will take your best player for pennies on the dollar.
All right, let's get
Or
into
even
some buy
worse.
lows.
Hold on. Hold. Or even worse, someone who doesn't respond to trades and is dead in the league. That's the
100%.
worst. That's the worst.
I would rather Tommy text me 5 times than having no response. If I'm like, hey, I find a trade and I text somebody, I'm like, hey, man, what do you think about this player? Or like a trade and you get no response, like that kind of sucks.
And then when it happens, week after week and season after season, and guys just don't participate, they're pretty boring to have in the league.
Yeah.
All right, but we can move on.
All right, so a buy low candidate. I think our first one is Manny Machado batting in the low 200s. You
Yeah,
think is he a buy low candidate? What would you try to offer somebody who has Manny Machado?
I think we covered Manny in our last episode. I was a little worried about Manny. I'll probably maintain that aspect, but I also think that he's a buy low candidate because I just don't think he's a 220 hitter the rest of the year. He's been pretty consistent 270, 280, 290 type hitter every year. So I think he's the type of guy that you could buy low on right now. And then the thing about buying low is I'm buying the player that I think he's going to be the rest of the season. I don't care what he did in April, right? I'm going to buy what he's going to be in May, June, July, so on and so forth. So for me, if I'm looking at Manny Machado, if he's a 280 hitter from May on, that's all I'm paying for, right? And
Right.
uh, I think sometimes you get caught up in buy low candidates where it's like, yeah, but I don't know if he's going to be very good. A buy low candidate is someone who has a good track record, right? You feel confident he's going to be a great player the rest of the season, but I'm paying a low price for what he did in April, May, or this current moment because I know he's going to be, or I feel confident he's going to be a better player the rest of the season. And I feel pretty confident Manny Machado is going to be much better than he currently has in April, even though this is a career worst April. He's going to be better. He's just a better player overall.
I had Manny Machado as a breakout because he was in a contract year, able to opt out with the Padres. I thought he would have his best year this year, even though last year was really good. He only scored 523 points on CBS leagues. That scared me a little bit. But being in a contract year, usually guys seem to just do better in contract years. Just ask Aaron Judge. He the ultimate bet on yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tommy, you got a buy low for us. How about you a sell high?
Yeah, I think I'll use both. A buy low for me would be like Brandon Woodruff. So as long as the injury is not too serious, he's an elite pitcher, but he's not going to be back for a little while. And just like Wes was saying, I don't care what's happening now. I think there's a balance, but for me, you have to make the playoffs. Obviously, that's first and foremost. You need to make the playoffs, but I want that guy to be there for the playoffs. So if you believe that Brandon Woodruff is going to be elite, which I believe he is, and he'll be back by midseason, and you can sustain him on your IL for a while, and you'll have him for the playoffs, I would buy that because somebody's hurting. Hey, I need a third baseman so bad. I just can't do anything, and I've got some extra pitchers. Maybe I can get rid of Brandon Woodruff. So if you can sell Brandon Woodruff for like a Matt Chapman, who's been on absolute tear, he's not coming out of nowhere. In 2019, he was a 500-point player, so it's not blind. I think you could probably convince somebody that Matt Chapman's great and he's going to stay great. I don't believe it, but maybe someone will. So let's make that swap. That may be pushing it, but I think that's an example of a buy low and a sell high in one.
So someone's selling high on Matt Chapman and using him to buy low on Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah, not that someone thinks that Woodruff won't be good. His stats are fantastic, but if he's going to be in the IL for 2 months and someone can't afford that, they need help now.
If you have 2 third basemen and you have it one that you could the waiver wire. I think the waiver wire is more easily to pick up on hitters on a week to week basis of who's hot compared to pitchers.
Agreed.
So I would definitely sell high on a hitter to buy low on a pitcher. That's probably the number one thing I would look to do always. No? Silence?
No, I'd agree. Like, I think hitters are easier to find on the waiver wire, and because most hitters play every day that you're going to find on the waiver wire, like, you can track them on a daily basis, whereas pitchers, they're starting every 5 days, sometimes every 6 days. So you're waiting a week to see how that pitcher performs, right? So, um, if you're trading for a pitcher, you're trading for what he's done in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or month. If you're trading for a hitter, a lot of times you're looking at what he did the last few days to weeks. So I think the time frames are different there, but you make a great point.
And I think some people might think, hey, there's a lot of pitchers that are coming up from the minor leagues right now. I think that's going to slow down once you hit the month of June. Right now, it's guys who are being service time controlled or innings controlled. You might see this continue through the month of May, and then I think the top studs are going to slow down through June, and you might get some towards the late July as the guys who started the year this year in Double-A and got off to hot starts and got to Triple-A and came up might
Like
start coming
Perez.
there. Right, Yuri Perez started in Double-A this year.
It would not
Considered a
surprise me
top
to see
prospect.
him. Yeah, like, he's gonna make the big leagues this year. Like, if that would not surprise me.
Right.
Let me throw a scenario at you guys or ask you a question. I discussed a scenario where I'm selling high on somebody to buy low. Is that the ideal situation? You sell high, buy low, or is there any cases where you want to I'll sell high on a guy for just another player who's mediocre, maybe doesn't have the potential ceiling of a buy low, but what's your
For
thoughts
me,
on that?
that probably depends on league type. I think I would sell high, buy low in a dynasty league probably more often, depending on where I am in the standings.
Yeah,
If
that's fair.
I'm mid to lower tier, like, I would absolutely sell high, buy low. But if I'm in a redraft league, I think it's probably rare that I sell high to buy low unless I had an excess of a player. So I had 2 third basemen, right? I had a Manny Machado and, I don't know, a Matt Chapman, right? And I sell high on Matt Chapman to keep Manny Machado, or vice versa, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So let me throw a scenario at you then. And we were talking about this earlier.
Tommy's using the podcast for his own fantasy questions and advice on his own teams.
Yeah. He's like, man, my team's in a tough spot right now, dude. I need some advice.
I don't own it. Disclaimer: I don't own any of these guys. I wish I did. I don't have them. I'm going to use this same position. Typically, you don't trade like second baseman, but for the listeners to understand it from a depth perspective, sometimes it's hard to jump. Well, how is this third baseman more valuable than this second baseman? So I'll stay within ranks for now, even though that's a less likely scenario.
Today, Junior.
If you're gonna sell high on,
he can't even read,
like a Nico Horner.
Sorry, I got that reference. I had to call it out.
Yeah. Nico Horner
what you
right
got,
now is the top scoring second baseman, 104 points. I believe is a sell high candidate. I think he's excellent. I think he's going to hit for average, but I don't think he's going to go through this tear, just absolutely dominating the league and being the top scorer. But I think there's a possibility it's worth rostering and you want to keep him on your team. What would you have to get back in return to sell high on Nico Horner? Is it a Brandon Lowe, who's middle of the points, done better? Is that high enough? Or do you need something more? Do you need Andres Jimenez? Do you need maybe Max Muncy or Ozzy Albies? Not that you can probably get Muncy now.
And Muncy would probably be a stretch, but I don't know that I would accept Brandon Lowe. I don't think I would.
Same position for same position, nearly.
What about Jazz Chisholm? Yeah, it's easier to relate how you're moving up on position.
Yeah, I think I would probably do that.
You'd sell Nico Horner for Jazz Chisholm.
I think I would, man, and uh, that's a good feeling because I feel like Jazz the rest of the year, I man, he's one step away from being a superstar on a yearly basis.
If he could be
And
healthy, he's been
if
that
he
way
could
for
be
three
healthy,
years.
that's
He's
it.
been that way for
That's
3 years.
the question mark on him though. Like if Jazz Chisholm has a healthy year, he's a top three second baseman, right? Nico Horner, I think he's a great player. I think he's very consistent. I don't see superstar status out of him. He might have one, two All Stars. He might be an All Star this year, but
But he's not
I
never
just
going to be a first 2-3 rounder player.
exactly right.
I don't know. I mean, for 2022, 2021, he did hit near 300 each of those years. In limited playing time, not full time.
Do we know how many points he scored in that?
In 2022, he was 355 in 135 games. So that's not a player that you're looking to keep in dynasty leagues. That's a waiver wire ad kind of guy.
Yeah, he's on a hot streak. I'm gonna pick him up for these 2 weeks.
So he doesn't have a track record that builds anybody confidence. So you're gonna have to find somebody who believes in this breakout to trade for this type of guy in Nico. And I don't know that you're gonna get anything better. You're not gonna trade for a similar guy that has a better track record. I think you're gonna have to you're going to sell high by buying on a guy who has a better track record but is not doing so well. So like a Nico Horner for Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of, you have to take the risk of selling high on a non-track record and buying low on a track record.
Or something like a Nico Horner paired with a pitcher for a Manny Machado, right? Do you think that could work somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's hard if you can. Track records make a lot. People look at them. Well, he only scored how many points last year? Some people look at that. Some people look at the right nows, and we know who those are. We won't get into who they are, but
let me ask you one more question. This is a real world scenario. I think a lot of people are dealing with. Is Yandy Diaz. He was always good. He always hit the ball hard. He just never really launched the ball. He's launching the ball now, and he's a top third baseman. He's top 5 third baseman. Would you sell him for I don't know if you could get Austin Riley. You probably would. That'd probably be no brainer. Let me try again. Bobby Witt.
Oh man, I have Bobby Witt, and I don't know that I would do that.
Yeah.
If you would trade Bobby Witt away for Yandy, yeah, you're talking position to position.
Saying if I had Yandy, I don't know that I would trade him for Bobby Witt.
So this may be a case where someone says Yandy doesn't have the track record, but he's doing well. He's not necessarily sell high. He's just a keep.
This is the same. This is Nico Horner all over again. Yeah. He scored 385 in 2022. He scored less in 2021. This is Nico Horner, just a different name, who has power. That's the only difference.
That's fair, but I would the only argument I would make there is that Yandy Diaz is hitting for more power, and I think that bodes well for fantasy points for a longer period of time.
That is more appealing as power. Everybody
appealing,
loves.
Yes.
Yeah. The chicks dig the long balls. Okay.
Chicks dig the long balls.
Bobby Witt's got 5 stolen bases to Yandy Diaz's 0, and we know that's going to increase. Stolen bases is going to go up this year. I think that's kind of low for Bobby Witt, only 5 stolen bases, but it's the hardest part there, Tommy, in that instance of Diaz for Witt. You're trading a player from a first place team to a player from a last place team. And I like
do it.
I'm saying I like the strategy of always trying to have guys on winning teams because they score a couple more points than those guys on losing teams.
Especially pitchers.
Most especially pitchers.
So, Tommy, did you list a buy low, sell high candidate there? You did Nico of a sell high.
Yeah, I've named off a couple. I did talk about Nico and Renfroe, Woodruff. You mentioned Arenado as a buy low. I think did we talk about Cody Bellinger already?
We did not talk about Cody.
I don't think we did, no.
I'm not going to give you an example to who to sell him for, but I think the ultimate sell high right now is Cody Bellinger. He's an MVP back in like 2019. He just couldn't figure it out for years. He may have unlocked something with the Cubs. He's going to be better. I don't think he'll be as bad as he was with the Dodgers, but I think that's the perfect example of a sell high. Get whatever you can for him.
Would you take a Cody Bellinger for Jazz Chisholm?
No, but I'm the wrong person to ask. I don't believe in Jazz Chisholm.
Me neither.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just I
man.
he stays
I don't
hurt.
believe in Jazz. Nope.
So past couple of years, points per game, he's right up there with the top guys, but he stays hurt, and I just think he's too wild in his game. I don't want him on my team because I don't trust he's always going to be there. Give me a better example.
All right, let's go. Let's go Cody Bellinger for Nathaniel Lowe.
I like
Ooh.
Cody.
Yeah, I think I'm keeping Cody. So maybe he's not as high as I think.
Really?
He's not so easy to sell.
Nathaniel Lowe, man, he was the breakout candidate of the year last year. He has more extra base hits right now than any first baseman in the league.
This is where we come back to personal preference and trades. We basically swapped Kershaw for Rodon. I liked him. I like Kershaw more than Rodon. So trades are going to go all over the place. You never know what you're going to get.
But this is the good part of fantasy, though, right? Is like I have the players that I probably preference, whereas you have different players that you preference, and that's part of like the negotiation of working out a trade. That's why it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me go down the list of top starting pitchers, and you guys stop me when you hear a sell high candidate. Okay. Zach Gallen, number 1 starting pitcher. Are you selling high on him?
Keep him.
Keep him.
All right, we're gonna keep rolling because I know these first two. Garrett Cole,
Keep.
Joe Ryan,
Keep.
Justin Steele.
Joe Ryan.
I might sell high. I would probably sell high on Joe Ryan. I know that I called him a couple episodes ago as the player to watch, but I would sell high on him right now.
Justin Steele too. I think I could sell high on him
Same.
if someone believes it. Depends on the return. Obviously, don't sell just to sell. But
both those guys, Joe Ryan and Justin Steele, are young guys who don't have track records, but success.
I'm not saying they won't be good. I'm saying if you can get a return for someone who thinks they're elite.
And of the two, I probably would keep Joe Ryan for no other reason than I think the Twins are a better team than the Cubs, and they'll probably present more win opportunities for Joe Ryan than Justin Steele for the Cubs.
You are hurting
so Zach Gallen's the number 1 starting pitcher in fantasy points. He's also the number 1 in strikeouts, and he's also the number 1 in innings pitched. Do you trade him for an elite starting hitter in Bryce Harper? Do you sell high on Gallen?
I think
Gallen's
that depends
previous
on preference,
years have been 2022 was his best year ever, 537, but that's the first time he got into a full season of starts.
If you need hitting, I think you do. Because Gallen won't carry that. He went 4 games without giving up a run. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
He will still be a very good pitcher. But Harper,
it's 51 strikeouts.
Yeah, I think that's selling low on Harper, personally.
Yeah.
You think that's selling low on Harper? Zach Gallen has 51 strikeouts in only 37 innings. Only 5 walks, a whip of 0.77, 2.15 ERA.
Yep. You're right.
So of those 5 guys I listed, Gallen, Cole, Ryan, Steele, Strider, who is good enough for Bryce Harper?
Cole.
Joe Ryan, Justin Steele, Strider?
No. Dynasty League Strider maybe, but not really.
Maybe.
So basically then anybody else I list, the only guy starting pitcher worthy of him is Cole.
Cool.
Yeah,
as a 1-to-1.
That doesn't mean you can't do a combo of like Zach Gallen and somebody on the IL like Luis Severino.
Yeah. I feel like that's a perfect trade.
But that doesn't mean you can't add kickers to make the difference up. But 1 for 1. No.
Yeah.
So Zach Gallen and Garrett Cole. I mean, hey, there you go. That's worth Bryce Harper. I think someone's a little high on their own player a little bit right there. So Bryce, at that point, you're telling me Bryce Harper is the first overall draft pick in our redraft league starting the month of May?
No.
No.
Yes, yes, you are.
I would
No.
say he's top 5 though.
You're telling me that no other starting pitcher besides Garrett Cole should be drafted before Bryce Harper goes.
Assuming Bryce Harper's healthy the rest of the way.
Yes, if Bryce Harper's
he's a
starting,
first
if we're starting when Bryce Harper's back May 5th and we do a draft again,
he gets
Bryce
on base.
Harper is going before every pitcher except for Garrett Cole.
He gets on base. He's a perennial MVP.
I would say, yeah, that's probably true.
He hits for power. He doesn't strike out nearly as much as some of the other guys. He's in a fantastic lineup. He does everything you want out of a player in fantasy. He's a first-round draft pick. Is he a Ronald Acuna? Maybe not. Ronald's fantastic, but you're taking Ronald over Cole too, aren't you?
And
I'm taking Ronald over Cole.
I don't want to take anything away from Gallen. He's been phenomenal, but I think the Diamondbacks have been a little bit of a surprise this year. I don't think Gallen's performance has been a surprise, but I certainly don't think that he's going to maintain his current level performance throughout the entire year. He's going to have 2 or 3 starts in there that are he's going to regress to the mean a little bit, right?
Okay, so here's this trade candidate here. Nico Horner for Zach Gallen. Who you want?
Gallen.
What
are you talking about?
What?
That's Horner is the number 2 scoring fantasy hitter,
and he won't be the rest of the year.
And is Gallen going to be the number 1 scoring pitcher the rest of the year?
Yeah, but we're talking about the level of regression there, right? So Zach Gallen's going to be a top 10. Where if Nico Horner is a top 10 player at the end of the year, I'll pay your league fee for next year.
Okay, let's go through the hitters here. Who are you trading for Zach Gallen? Obviously not Acuna. You would trade Acuna for him. Are you trading for Nico Horner?
Wait, just for clarification.
Am I giving or accepting Acuna?
You're giving Zach Gallen away for this.
Okay.
For Acuna?
I understand the rules.
Yes, for Acuna.
I do that.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going down the scoring fantasy hitters, okay? So Acuna's number 1. You say yes. Nico Horner.
No.
Randy Arozarena.
No.
Marcus Semien.
No.
Cedric Mullins.
No.
Vlad Guerrero.
Yes.
You're trading Zach Gallen for that, Tommy?
If I need a first baseman pretty bad, yeah, probably. Vlad, I think, is just going to be fantastic this year.
Dude, there's no... Vlad Guerrero has the potential to be a dude for a long time. He could be a 50-homer guy, man.
I don't think...
I love Vlad.
I don't think going through the April points is the best way to do that either, though, because there's random guys like James Outman who nobody even heard of, who's in like the top 15.
Yeah. Who would you rather have then? Who would you rather have, Vlad or Bryce? Pick one.
Ooh.
This is your first round, and Vlad and Bryce are the best players available. Who are you taking?
Bryce is healthy and all the way back?
Bryce.
Yes, Bryce is healthy all the way back.
And I say that because of positional scarcity.
Yeah, assuming he's an outfielder. This is a weird circumstance. He's coming off Tommy John, but
no, he doesn't have outfield. He doesn't have outfield. He has first base and utility.
Yeah, but he's going to have outfield eligibility at some point in time.
Not for months.
I'd probably still take Bryce.
I'd still take Bryce, man.
Okay.
He's going to play the outfield.
That's close, though. I mean, you can't go wrong, but I think Bryce gets the tip of the cap.
Yeah, I think Bryce not having outfield eligibility hurts him a little bit. A little bit.
What's more valuable, Bryce getting first base or outfield eligibility?
Outfield,
yeah.
Agreed.
I don't think him getting first just helps you because now he's just not utility only.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we are getting deep into this episode. I'm going to wrap it up here. We didn't get into many buy low directly, but we did get into a good scenarios here of buy low and trade scenarios. I think it was some great conversation here. Any last words for buy low, sell high, or trade advice?
Yeah, if you need any advice, hit me up on Instagram, BNB_Lombard. I'm the ultimate.
If you need to know how to rape anybody, Tommy's the guy to reach out to.
Ultimate negotiator.
He charges $15 a month for his trade strategy and his secrets.
See him on Patreon here shortly. All right. This has been Fantasy Camp episode 9, right? No, episode 8. Fantasy Baseball Camp episode 8. We got into fantasy trading advice and buy low and sell highs. Oof.
Yeah.
But hey, lot of chat out there. Enjoyed it, guys, and we'll catch you guys next week.